Yeah. Now, we hear a lot today about how all parents are homeschoolers. You have been both a homeschooling parent and now work in a school. How would you describe the role that all parents are playing right now?
Well, I read this somewhere, so this is not my idea, but I really do believe that it's better termed crisis
Mhm.
schooling as opposed to homeschooling. Because when I decided to homeschool my girls, I planned, I was intentional, I picked what I wanted to do, I set up how I wanted to do it, and we built our lives around the fact that that would be my main focus. Well, that's not what's happening for parents right now. Even if you're a current teacher, you still have your job, and now your children are at home and they need some support with their schooling depending on how old they are. So I think that every parent should just remember that as teachers, I can speak for the teachers that I work with, but I think I'm pretty safe in speaking for teachers in general. We recognize that you all did not choose this and that this has been thrust upon all of us. And so we're happy to support parents in any way that you feel like you need support. And I also hope that parents feel the freedom to use their best judgment. And if they just can't that day, or their child just can't that day, or if technology is just being super frustrating that day, I hope that everybody gives themselves a little grace in that area, because this is unprecedented times. This isn't not making sure your child does their homework. This is so much more than
Mhm.
that. So I hope that parents feel like they're there to support their kids in a maybe in a stepped up way, but I hope that no parent feels like they have to become their child's teacher unless they want to. And then I also really enjoyed that time in my life and found that really rich and wonderful, but not everybody wants that role.
Mhm.
And I don't think that parents in this time should put the pressure on themselves to feel that way. But it is hard to be all in one house, trying to do work and school at the same times. And sometimes those schedules clash. And I think that's been the most challenging part for us. The first day that we were all trying to do, there are five of us here, two teachers and three students. And the first day we tried to do online learning, all of us together, we overwhelmed our Wi-Fi pretty quickly. And so we've had to be really creative with our solutions there. But I think that schools understand. I know that we certainly understand that everybody has different access to technology. Everybody has different, you might have one computer and you might have a bunch of people who need it during the day. And so I think communication just becomes the most important piece, just saying what's going on and asking for what you need,
Mhm.
so that we know how to support you.
You mentioned the schedules before. Do you have any tips for parents on, because we've all seen these schedules online, but do you have any tips on how to strike that balance between a schedule that provides some routine and predictability and not setting up something too rigid that just drives everybody crazy? How can we walk that line?
Well, in my own classroom, I prefer to call it a routine instead of a schedule, because there's certain things that have to happen at certain times. I mean, there are dismissal times. There are, specials teachers who are coming in to teach my class at a particular time. But then outside of that, I like to leave a little bit of wiggle room. So I like the routine. I like what we do every day to follow the same order, but it might not happen at 9:15 every day. It might happen at 9 some days. It might happen at 9:30 some days, but it happens right after we come in, we have centers. After centers, we have calendar time. Depending on how centers are going determines when we have calendar time. If centers are going great, calendar time will be later. If centers are crashing and burning, calendar time will be earlier.
Mhm.
But knowing the order of what's going to happen in the day, I think is super helpful for kids. I think it's helpful to also to communicate as a parent if there are times in your day that you're going to need some focused to be on a call, to be in a meeting, where you don't need to be interrupted. I think it's important to communicate that to kids in advance and then remind them before. With young children, we often use a timer, like at rest time. If someone's having a really hard time remembering that they just need to rest quietly for this little bit of time, we'll set a little kitchen timer and hand it to them and say, this is your timer. And when it goes off, that's when I'll be done. And that's when you can come and get me. And then also making sure then that when they honor that, they get big praise. And then also then saying, and then when that's over or when I'm finished, then would you like to do this or would you like to do this with me? Because I think our kids, I really love the work of a mindfulness person named Dr. Kristen Race. She has a website called Mindful Life Today. And I've learned a lot from her about parenting and about being a teacher. And she talks about how there are mirror emotions and how anxiety is one of those mirror emotions where we can easily transmit that to other people. And so I think we're all kind of living a little anxious and a little unsure and a little scared. And so I think our kids are really great barometers. They just read the room really well. But they don't always know what they're seeing in us. And so I think staying connected with them and making sure to take some time with them to connect and do something fun helps us calm down, because play does that for grown-ups too. And it also helps them to feel calmer and more connected, because I do think, depending on what's going on in the world that day and how much that's, come in, how close that's come to your personal life, your stress level could be a whole lot higher right now than it would be normally at this time of year. So I think just taking care of ourselves is important too.
So maybe building in a slot in the day for a game of cards or something that everybody kind of chills out with. I know also at Grimes that time in the outdoors is very important in your school schedule for all ages, right? How can the outdoors help? How can time outdoors help us right now?
Well, time outdoors has been proven to decrease your stress, to improve your mood, to even lower your blood pressure and your heart rate. Just as little as 10 minutes outside can do that. But the benefits increase in the good stuff up to about 50 minutes. And then there's no real change from 50 minutes on. It's not that after 50 minutes, being outside becomes a bad thing. But being outside in nature is a great thing to do. And I also think because we are needing our technology more to do what we need to do, we've probably set aside some of our own screen limits for ourselves, grown-ups and kids, because we just need a screen more to live our lives right now. But I think to get outside without your technology, and you could do it a couple different ways. Like you could, think about what you hear when you're outside. Listen really carefully to what's going on, or see how many birds you could find, or how many different colors of flowers you could find. I mean, just a family walk around the neighborhood, or just even like sitting outside in a soccer chair in your front yard is restorative for all of us. There's something about us that craves that time outside. And I think leaving all of your technology inside when you go out, that's not proven by research. That's my personal point of view. It helps me because I find that I can get really caught up in being super connected on my device, but maybe not so connected, not really looking up at what else is going on around me. And so I think that's an important piece. It's been for me. Anyway, I start my day outside. Midday, I make sure I get outside. And at the end of the day, I make sure I get outside. It makes all the difference. And if I don't, because I make an excuse like the weather's bad or I'm particularly busy, I notice the change in my mood.
Yeah. We're reading a lot right now about the challenges of this situation and how hard it is. But we're also living through history right now, and our kids are living through history and are going to tell their kids about this one day. Are there any opportunities that parents should take advantage of to make sure we create some positive memories during this time, or that or we reap some benefits that are out there to be had right now?
I was thinking about this yesterday. My family celebrates Easter, and we had to do it a little differently than we normally do yesterday. But I realized that we are all sitting down around the table more
Mhm.
than we really ever have been because we're all here and there's no, well, this person has this lesson at this time, and my husband's picking up this one, and I'm going to go get that one, and we sort of ate in shifts sometimes. And sometimes people ended up having to eat alone because of how everything worked out, but we are just sitting around the table together. We're taking walks in the evening together. And I think we're also getting to talk to our kids more about what it means to do something that's hard, that benefits more than just yourself. Because really, what we're doing right now is about our own personal health, but it's also about the health of everybody else around us. And I think that 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 perspective, um, this lesson that we have the chance to learn, I think our kids have a better chance of learning how important and how beneficial it is to consider others, um, then maybe we got that opportunity when we were growing up because we didn't have to all the time. Um, but in this have to, I think it could actually produce people that can sit, grown-ups one day that think about the collective good, um, as well as the good of themselves. I don't think that selves should be completely taken off the table, but I think there's something powerful about considering how your actions impact everyone else. And that the ripple effect is real, not just in this pandemic crisis, but even when all of this is over. What we do is not, it doesn't just stop with us. It radiates out to all the people around us. So I think that's a powerful lesson we're all learning right now.
Certainly are. Well, Kimber, we so appreciate your time today, and it's wonderful to hear about how Grymes Memorial School is continuing learning, but really how all of us as a community are continuing to foster learning, and your perspective is so helpful to parents right now.
Well, thank you, Emily. This was really fun and way outside my comfort zone. But I think that it's important that we all just keep trying to do our very best to support each other in whatever that looks like on any given day.